The longer you spend in the audio world, the more microphones you accumulate. You sort of build your own little happy family of microphones. Microphones that are only really good for close-up, intimate work. Microphones that sound better on certain instruments than others. Microphones that are expensive. Microphones that are industry standard. Clones of industry standard microphones. Microphones that are sort of the diva sister that spends all your money on your credit card. But every microphone brings a unique character to the sound that it captures. So what I'm gonna do today, or at least what I'd like to do today, is take every microphone I own, which is substantial, and use them all to mic a guitar amp and just see how they all sound. The problem I'm running into is, of course, I have spent all my money on microphones. If only I knew somebody who, spent all their money on guitar equipment.
I wonder what I should do today. I could arrange my pedals by color. So I've been playing guitar for the past 15 years. In college, I started building my own pedals. I also play around with modifying amplifiers because once you start tweaking one thing, you want to tweak everything. For this test, played a really simple pattern that's pretty standard for a lot of church guitar type stuff, and then ran that into a looper so that it would be consistent through every single microphone. We kept all the mic positionings pretty much the same. They should be about the same distance from the cone. Everything is going off of this taped off section on this amp. This is a really clean platform, so you're not getting any distortion from the amp itself.
Let's go listen to some mics. All right, I'm gonna start with the 57 because who doesn't start with the 57? Right off the bat, it feels a little thin to me.
I'm used to hearing a 57. This is normal. It doesn't have too much bottom end.
But it sounds as good as any 57 does. You can throw a 57 in the general direction of something and it'll sound pretty good.
It has a nice emphasis on the mid-range, and I don't feel like I'm losing anything. It's pretty well rounded.
I'm gonna switch to the clone next because I want to hear how the clone compares to the 57. Oh my goodness.
Immediately there's a top end difference. The high end is standing out, which makes me think that it's just kind of scooping the mids a bit.
A lot more high midsy. Almost like you ran the whole thing through another drive.
Let's listen to the 58.
The 58 is what I thought I was going to get out of the 57, but the 57's missing some of that low mids.
I really like the 58. It's got a little bit more bass response than the 57, not too much more. There's a lot of clarity in it.
The Beta 58 feels really well rounded.
I feel like I'm getting a lot of note definition. Let's check out the PV12.
You could, at least from a mixing standpoint, you could make this fit anywhere into the song that you wanted it to.
PV is really close to the 58, maybe a touch more treble. That would be really good in a band mix because high end on the lead is going to stand out really well. You're not going to get in the way of the basses too much.
Compared to the tone we had in the room, I think it's still missing maybe a little bit of the punch in the lows, but it's much closer to what we started with.
Bear in mind that some of these volume differences can come from the fact that the mics were probably not exactly in the same spot. While the end of each microphone was about the same distance away, there's the fact that the capsule is sitting inside there and isn't exactly the same distance.
Okay, now I'm listening to the SM86, which was one of the phantom powered mics. I think this might be, well, I shouldn't make any of those generalization decisions until I've listened to them all, but this is the sound that I would aim for in a studio recording of the tone that Steven had.
Feels like there's an emphasis in the upper mids in the 86. It's really pleasant. There's not too much bass end to it compared to the 57. All right, I'm gonna check out the shotgun. All right, that's a big volume difference, so I'm gonna back that down. It's very different from the 86, but in a way that's hard to explain. I've been adjusting volume between the two to try and keep them consistent. It feels like it's pushing the mids a lot, and it's not getting as much of the high end or the low end. So that guitar signal is right there in your face. It's not bad. I probably wouldn't go for it.
And then let's try the P220, which is sort of my favorite microphone that I own.
It's got more of a high, mid, and treble emphasis. It feels like it's scooping out part of the mid-range of the guitar. I'm not a huge fan. It's probably more well-suited to vocals with that kind of a frequency curve.
It's not a very practical microphone for this application because it's on the shock mount and there's a lot of distance between it and the amp. but I almost wonder if that distance is what helped. All right, the situation is this. You're going to an island, which for whatever reason has a full stage and a sound system, but doesn't have any microphones on it. And you can only bring one of them with which to mic your guitar.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say mine too, so we'll do it at the same time. Which mic are you bringing with you? 3, 2, 1, the S86. That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're both the Shure mics.
So listening back to the two of them, I was also doing some volume adjustment between the two microphones because it felt like the 58 wasn't picking up quite as much volume as the 86.
Right.
And when I did that, I felt that they were pretty comparable. And the fact that I don't have to worry about phantom power for the 58.
Yes.
Like that's something
that's
I
always
know
a
that
nice
like
touch.
the mixer has it and everything, but I don't have to think about it. The 57 was really good, but it felt very compressed.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we did something a little bit different with it, maybe on off axis or had it like right up against the grill cloth, you would have gotten the volume and punch that you needed out of it.
Maybe we'll do a follow-up with our 3 favorites and we'll try like some different positionings and stuff one day. I'm out of things to say about these microphones. Steven,
me too.
Thank you for being incredibly knowledgeable about guitars and for letting me come over and use all of your equipment.
So here's the thing about tests like this. There are a couple of things that we cannot factor in. YouTube gets millions and millions of gigabytes of content every minute, so they can't store all of that at full size. So YouTube compresses everything down to make it easier to store in their servers. Part of that means you're going to lose some of the quality on the audio. Another thing to think about is your headphones.
Depending on the ability of your headphones to reproduce different frequencies, what you're hearing may or may not be 100% consistent with what the microphone actually produced. It's not in stereo, so headphones versus a single speaker won't make a difference except for the ability of those headphones or speaker to reproduce the sound accurately. Something else that we can't account for, like Steven said in the video, is the positioning of the capsule inside the mic grill. So like, this is a microphone, it has a grill around the outside, and then inside that is what's called the mic capsule, which is what actually picks up the sound. So even though we spaced the grill the exact same distance from the amp every time, we can't accommodate for the fact that the capsule inside is at different heights because, well, I mean, I suppose we could accommodate for it, but it would take a long time for us to measure all that junk. So rather than do that, we didn't, and assumed that they're within a reasonable tolerance of each other. But those are all things that would affect the audio quality. Obviously, no test is perfect. We did this quickly because we wanted to be efficient and effective, but those are just things that are worth thinking about if you're evaluating these for purchase. I will be running other sources through the microphone Gauntlet, so I'll do them for vocals and I'll do them for a bunch of other stuff just to see how each microphone reacts to different circumstances. I'll make a drum kit with them, all that kind of thing. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Also, just one video this week. I'm building an office for myself right now and just can't keep up with posting and editing and everything while I'm building, so that's what's going on this week. So I will see you next Monday.